It's crazy. Like, it would be as if Hideo walked into like a Castlevania game and he's like, okay, I got some shit to say about God in here. Like, what?
2020 is dead.
We put it to rest. We killed it with Marcus Phoenix. I was going to say the chain gun, but Podtimism killed 2020.
A chain gun filled with Podtimism.
Yes, it will still kill, but it is filled with Podtimism. Those are the bullets in that gun.
It'll like or joyously. It will only kill that which is pure evil.
Ansem, Kingdom Hearts. Is there a reference in there?
Nah, that was just off the dome. It's probably inspired by a lot of video games. That line
by inner darkness.
My inner darkness.
Baby, we're back. It's been so long. It feels like a long time since we did this.
Like 2 weeks?
It hasn't been. Like, in reality, in calendar days, it has not been a long time, but holy hell.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
I've grown used to this format of being able to talk about video games. And I was coming into today being like, what am I going to talk about? And I have so many fucking video games, David. I played a lot of video games in the last couple of weeks.
Did you get a haul from Xmas, my dude?
A couple of things happened. Oh, hold on. First off, it's Video Game Podtimism. It's the Optimists video game variety show where two best friends talk about the wonderful world of gaming. My name is Chase, and we killed 2020 with Podtimism, I think. Murder is podtimistic, I guess. It's sort of a dark implication.
We killed it in like the sense like, damn, we killed it, you know?
Okay. We're being proud of our 2020.
Like I murdered that 2020.
Sure. You put us on the beat and we did it. Mm-hmm. That's a good thing to say about the inaugural year of a podcast. Everybody says the best part of a podcast are the first 20-ish episodes. So I'm sure everybody will go back and be like, wow, well-made, high-quality sound. Absolutely not getting used to making a podcast at all.
Absolutely not. We're still we made it through somehow
stumbled our way into episode 43. What's your name, sir?
Oh, I'm David, and I got a PlayStation 5, boy.
Dude, the Benavides family came fucking through. Amazing.
I was flabbergasted.
I was too. You sent me a picture of your haul from your fam, and I thought you were sending me like a fake photo, like a goof, like, hey, look, I got a PlayStation. It's like, surely not.
No, my sister, it was really my sister. My parents gave up pretty quickly from what they tell me.
Yeah.
But apparently I threw the gauntlet to my sister because I was talking to them and they're just like, oh, what do you want for Christmas this year? And I was like, not even thinking that it would happen. I was like, yeah, I tried to get a PlayStation 5, and if anybody could do it, it'd probably be one of you, because like my sister and dad have gone to Comic-Con multiple times.
Sure.
So they know how to get rare items.
They know how to find the legendaries wherever those may be buried.
Yeah. Specifically my sister. So big shouts out to my sister on the podcast this week, because
hell yeah,
she's a real one, and the amount of effort that she went through to find one of these things is nothing short of legendary. Truly,
she crossed Middle Earth, carried the ring to Mount Doom.
I mean, honestly, that probably would have been easier. that's nothing compared to this. It was like she had a bunch of different alerts on her phone. She would wake up at like 2 a.m. to like try and like buy things out of nowhere. She got one from like a contest that was from England, but they didn't send it. God. So then she had to get another one.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It like got stuck in customs or something. I don't know. Or like a
3 years from now, a PlayStation's going to show up.
That was so weird. That's just like the tale that she wove about her journey to get me this thing. I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I could ever repay you. Wow. I don't know if I could ever equal this feat for you, sister. But I'll try.
I have built you a city on your name.
Pretty much.
Benavidesburg.
Benavidesburg.
Vitasburg. That's where all the PlayStation Vitas go to die.
Oh no. PlayStation Vita. Sorry.
Well, hell yeah, that's a big time. I was also able to get that the Xbox that I had ordered like right after we had recorded our last app, so I've been very much on that console.
Nice.
And snagged a couple of them games, and then also Game Pass has been really helping me.
That's what you've been telling me. It sounds pretty ideal.
Yeah, there's a specific game on there that we're gonna have to talk about later, but it's all very good. Speaking of which, David, have you been playing video games?
Oh yeah.
Tis the season. Twas the season.
I had a week and a half off work. I was going.
No, that's the time.
I was chugging through these games, baby.
Which ones? Tell me about them.
Well, of course, The Witcher and Overwatch are kind of like my go-tos always.
Your standard bearers,
But
your Jarls.
Yeah, I'm summoning the Jarls. God, that was good. Yeah, so still playing those, but on the PlayStation 5 now.
Oh, the fancy
lad. Mm-hmm. Played through Astros Playroom. Got everything.
Yeah.
Got all the puzzle pieces. Got all the artifacts. Had to. Quite a fun little game.
I know. Yeah, it's pretty good. I was shocked about this.
Yeah, I really appreciated all the little asides to different PlayStation games in the levels where you're just like walking around and there's like someone with a PlayStation camera like recording people. You're like, oh, that's Kratos in that boat. Yeah, it was pretty enjoyable as a lifelong Sony boy who's had now 5 different PlayStations. It was quite a trip through memory lane.
I liked Astros a lot. I feel like for what it was, like expecting it to be just a tiny freeware game, I was pleasantly surprised with how much like kind of depth there was, and also just a walkthrough of like, check out the controller. You feel the new fresh stuff. You like this?
I
thought it was great.
I liked it. And it's just surprisingly tight mechanics for a little free game.
Yeah, I was like, the jumping in it felt very PlayStation, if that makes any sense. Like it felt like a Ratchet and Clank game or a Jack game or something.
It was like classic PlayStation platforming, which was fun. Yeah. Quite fun. So playing that one. And then I've been playing Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Hell yeah.
It's good. It's nothing amazing. It's more of like an interactive story than like a super fun game. Yeah. Like the combat's good enough. The web slinging I like the web slinging, I think, better in this one. I feel like I can go faster, which I really like. I like the sense of speed when I'm slinging webs. Yeah.
They definitely do that pretty well. Sorry, finish your thought.
My last thought is that it's really carried by just how good of a character Miles Morales is. Yeah. And just the voice acting is great. The graphics are quite good. But at the same time, I just definitely feel the overloaded bloat of like a open world game where there's all these different things where it's like, oh, there's like 15 different spots of this around the city that I can go do the same side quest. I'm like, yeah. And now that I've played The Witcher, I'm like, side quests can be so much more.
Yeah, give me a little story here,
so much more. But they do have a couple of side quests that are more story-ish, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I never got the sense that I was like being forced to do any of those. I played through a little bit more as well over break. And I pretty much just did the ones that I wanted to and just kind of skipped the rest.
Yeah, I think that's going to be my game plan as well, unless there's some suit that I just need. Yeah. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. So I was playing that, but I really wanted like a good next-gen experience. Okay. So I had to open up that Demon's Souls, baby.
Oh, fuck yes.
Yeah.
I didn't know you got this. This is a truly big thrill.
No, this is great. I was saving it. Yes. Because when I first got my PlayStation, I'm just like, I don't want the first thing that I play on this just to kick my ass. Yeah. I just want to. That's fair. I kind of just want to interact with it for a bit. So that's why I did Astros and Spider-Man for a bit.
Yeah, easy peasy. You can just kind of walk through those games.
But then, I just like got a little bit of a masochistic kick coming out. And decided it was time for some for some souls in.
The dark music was playing, and as you're sitting in your room, just sort of toiling around and thinking about the darkness outside.
I imagine it's how people feel about the One Ring when they see it. They're like, I know this is bad for me, but
all the power, temptation.
Oh yeah,
I could fix Gondor with this.
Boromir, damn it. So yeah, I've been playing that, and it's quite fun.
Yeah, that game is good.
I got sucked in pretty hard the other day, more than I've been sucked into a game in a while. And my goodness, are the graphics something to behold.
Phenomenal. It looks so good in places.
Yeah, like when that dragon comes down and just blasts that bridge with fire.
Very good.
Damn, that looks good. When you're standing in front of those big old gates the first time,
Yep.
Damn, that looks good. It's been quite good, and it hasn't been kicking my ass too much.
Yeah,
which is good. I think it's good that I played Sekiro already.
I was just about to say, I feel like once you've kind of gotten the taste of what feels really difficult in Souls games, like going to another one isn't the shock that it is the first time.
No.
You're kind of expecting like, well, I'm going to get my ass kicked and like I'll probably die a lot, and like that's just kind of part of it. So it's not the like harrowing experience that it can be the first time you get through one of those.
Yeah. And I just you just learn to expect no freebies.
Yeah,
so,
true. How far into it are you?
I've beaten the first boss, the Phalanx.
Okay. Yep.
And then God, I was so mad. I lost 6,000 souls.
Painful.
Yeah.
In the early stages, that sucks.
Yeah. So I was bummed on that, but
yep.
I tried to go a little bit further down the gates, but then I got murked by a group of 4 bros, and I was like, okay, I need to figure out how to like level up because I haven't leveled up yet.
Yeah.
And it was kind of annoying how opaque that was. I had to like look it up online, be like, how do I level up in Demon Souls?
Yep.
Just like I would probably have not really figured that out and just been like upset, like gamer rage about the game for a bit.
Yeah.
Which is somewhat annoying, but also kind of, I don't know, refreshing in a game in a way where it just like doesn't give you anything.
Yeah, it's very much a rebuke to the games that have like 3 hours of tutorial.
Yeah.
And so you really don't need to learn anything that you don't want to learn. Like if the game is working for you, great.
Just
continue to play the video game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is pretty opaque, and I think Demon Souls specifically is very opaque. They give you very, very little as far as like how to play the game, what goes on, and specifically leveling up, is sort of a problem. I think you have to beat the Phalanx, right? Like
you have to beat the Phalanx first until you can level up.
Oh, and then you go talk to the boy or something like that.
You have to go, dude. You have to go back and talk to the lady,
right?
And then she tells you to talk to the boy, but she doesn't. She just tells you go upstairs, but you don't know where you're going. You don't know you're supposed to talk to a little boy. Amongst all these other dead little boys, and then you go back downstairs and talk to her 2 more times. And then she lets you level up.
I'd say that part of the game specifically, I think, is the most painful part. Like, getting beat is usually like, okay, I didn't dodge roll when I needed to fucking dodge roll, but that part is just like, God, what are we doing here? Why can't I do the thing I need to do?
Yeah, exactly.
But after that, it's much easier. Yeah, I obviously I put this on my game of the year last year, but holy shit, I really liked this game, especially having not played Demon Souls as much before.
No, I'm stoked on it.
Yeah. So like compared to Sekiro, how's your experience with this one so far?
I think the learning curve is less steep for me in the beginning. Because you have a shield and a dodge, and it's not just solely based on timing
and like parrying and
parrying like Sekiro is, which was very demanding at first. So I'm just a big old beefy priest.
Priest, nice. Priest. I was going to ask you what your class was.
No, I chose priest because I wanted that healing. I needed that.
That's a good idea.
I needed that starting miracle.
That's a good idea.
It's definitely helped me quite a few times already. So,
are you able to learn like magic as a priest, like fire magic and shit?
I don't think so. I think maybe my faith is too high.
I suspect your faith probably doesn't, like, there's no cap for it, but I think there's like some other thing that you have to level to get like spell slots, because if you want to turn on easy mode, that's essentially what you have to do from what I understand.
Get spells?
Yeah, like spell casting is like very easy to do in Demon Souls, like as far as like how much damage that'll do to people.
Okay.
But it's still quite fun to use swords and shit. That's what I did.
Easy mode. Who do you think I am? I'm a 2-year running core gamer, as denoted by
as Nintendo mentioned,
based off their hard statistics. I'm ready for this challenge.
Shigeru Miyamoto's personal metrics has determined David a core gamer.
Core gamer. God, I just blew out my mic with that. Sorry.
I know. Yeah. No, mine has exploded.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a thrill. It's been a joy so far.
Hell yeah.
So
love Demon Souls.
Looking forward to playing more of it.
Demon Souls sort of set me off on a path that I'm still on currently, where I'm just wandering through as many Soulsborne games as I possibly can be.
I downloaded Bloodborne as well. I think that'll probably be my next This will be my like 4th or 5th time starting the game.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
So we'll see if it finally sticks.
I think having played Sekiro, I feel like your tolerance for this has been almost certainly larger than it was before.
Mm-hmm.
I think Bloodborne has a similar mechanic too, of like you have to beat like the first boss before you can level up or whatever. So
gotcha.
It's good, dude. Oh man, this is sort of a tangent, but like I'm really hoping that they're able to put out a patch for Bloodborne, because it is pretty painful to play. Like go directly from 60 frames a second, beautiful demon souls, lighting is incredible. There's like fucking ray tracing going on in like the little puddles of water to fucking muddy, nasty 30 frames a second, old nasty Bloodborne. It's like a stark contrast. I love that game. I cannot get enough of it, but still going back to it, I was like, oh man, this is pretty rough.
So you're saying you need a
PlayStation 5 remaster.
Put in the stanger.
Are you playing any other games?
No, that's it.
Okay.
What about
Great.
you? What are you playing?
I have a fucking laundry list, David.
Let's
I've
hear
played
it.
a lot of video games in the last 2 weeks. Okay, so let's see. Right off the top, beat Bloodborne. Still fantastic. Loved it.
Good.
That was great. That was kind of early on in like Crisis times.
Crisis.
The Chrysler. Merry Chrysler. So I got the Series X that finally came, booted that up. The first thing I started playing was Yakuza, the Like a Dragon.
Okay.
Good game. I like this game.
Yeah.
I have played a handful of the other Yakuza a little bit. Like I played, what is it, Zero, I think? That was like the kind of prequel one.
Yeah. Kiwami?
I'm not sure, honestly, because there's Zero and then there is, I think, also Kiwami, and I don't know the distinction.
Kiwami is the remake of the first one, I think.
Maybe. I don't know. Honestly fairly unfamiliar with the series as far as it goes.
Yeah.
Because it's been out for a while. Like
it's been going on for like decades in Japan.
I think like one of the first Yakuza games was on PlayStation 2, so it's been doing its thing for a little while.
That thing's been thangin'.
That thing has been thangin' for nearly 15 to 20 years. It's an ancient thang. The old thang. Got some Bloodborne references. Got some Demon Souls.
Old thing.
It has been thanging since the beginning of time. Old magic rustled from its thanging slumber, and now it wakes.
On the first day, man was given a soul. On the second day, the thang began to thang.
He was given a thang with which to thangin. Jesus.
Let's move on from this.
Yakuza Like a Dragon is a good video game. The mechanics of the other Yakuza, I don't know why, but they never stuck with me very hard. Like the sort of like button mashy brawler part of it. That part sort of felt tedious a lot of the times when I was playing the other ones. Not to like, I get that like some people, this is like their fucking jam, and I get that. So not to like put it down. I think it just didn't click for me.
Gotcha.
For whatever reason, I just like couldn't do it for a long period of time. For whatever reason, Yakuza decided, well, not for whatever reason, obviously the designers are doing this for a reason, but like they decided to do turn-based combat instead of like button mashing combat.
Oh,
which
really?
works a lot. It works a lot better for me.
That's a big change.
Yeah, it is significant, and like I can almost see how somebody might see that as like a step back, just because like I don't know, turn-based combat's sort of gone the way of the dodo at this point.
They made it one step closer to a card battle game for you, didn't they? That's
just
really
you
what,
wait, David. Just you wait.
It's coming, isn't it? Yakuza card battle game. Just go
There's
play.
something else in here, I bet. So yeah, they turned it into a turn-based system, which I think allows for just like a little bit more complexity. Like people in your party have different like classes or jobs, as they say, and that like allows you to sort of tailor your team a little bit. And some of them can do what are essentially spells, or some of them are like tankier or like melee based people. And so the battles feel a little bit less like just this repetitive action that you're doing and more like an actual sort of challenge or something that you can solve, right? I think like in something like Persona 5, where the battle is very much like a puzzle that you can beat. Like a lot of the time you can beat somebody on the first turn if you just like know everybody's weaknesses or something. Yeah. It's similar in this one where certain people are weak to certain stuff. And so a lot of the time you're able to just like mop the floor with folks if you know the weakness. And so it turns into this kind of like I said, sort of puzzle solvey thing.
Sure.
Which makes it interesting. Let me see what else. This one is in Yokohama.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of where the last one was, but God, it's in there somewhere. I don't know. Regardless, I haven't played the series so much, so don't really remember it.
Sure.
Anyway, I liked that it was sort of fresh. It's both
setting.
my first time coming to it, and then also the series' first time, and so I can kind of, get used to the space as the series does as well. The map itself isn't gigantic; like you can run across it pretty quick.
Sure.
And I really like that. Like I've been, messing around with like a lot of open world games in the last, 6 months or something like that. And it's kind of nice to have just like a small and dense map where like you really get to know each little city block that's there, because there's a lot of stuff in there. It's not like it's just, wasted space. And so I'm going to make a very Chase Albee comparison here. It feels very much like Mega Man Battle Network in the sense that there's like this little town that you get to explore. And like get to know it very well.
Predictable, Chase.
Yeah, no. So the pod's so nice we made it twice, where I just talk about Mega Man Battle Network for fucking hours on end. But yeah, I like that part of it. I think that's pretty cool.
Nice. Cool.
Also, the main character, Ichiban Kasuga, is like a deeply likable person.
He's kind of a wild guy, isn't he?
The other dudes, I feel like, and this is, again, if I'm wrong about this, I will definitely say it, but my understanding of the other characters and the other ones were sort of like quiet, silent, tough dudes who like sometimes were silly. Like Ichiban is like so deeply optimistic and like a warm person to be around every scene he's in.
Wow.
He's also like so headstrong and direct that like most of the times that you're like, oh, I think I know what the next like plot beat is going to be, because they wouldn't be foolish enough to do it this way. Ichiban's like, no, we have to charge in head first to the base of the Yakuza and show them what we mean. And like, that is his solution to almost every problem. And it's almost refreshing, where it's like,
just fucking fight.
Yeah, just go fix the problem. Like you don't be like careful about your movings. Just like go directly there and figure out what the issue is and fix it.
Hell yeah.
He's also like 40 years old, which is kind of nice. Like
refreshing.
Just a dude. Just like kind of not middle-aged, but like he's a dude. He's an adult male. And like a lot of his companions are too. Like they're just like real ass adults out there existing in this world rather than like heroes or like people who you wouldn't believe are actual real people.
Yeah. He's a believable character
for the most part, right? Like a lot of it's, there's some farcical stuff that happens in it where you're like, okay, obviously that's not going to be real, but the way that they exist sort of makes sense to me on its face.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's a good game. I'm enjoying it. I feel like I'm getting closer to the end, but I'm not totally sure yet. Oh my God, dude, there was like this business management sim in this game just built into it.
Oh no.
David. Oh, David.
Oh no.
I spent like 6 straight hours on Saturday. Em's like, hey, can I use the TV? I'm like, no, I have to be the best businessman in Yokohama. I'm sorry. It's essentially like one of those.
Damn, shut her out of the TV.
Dude, I had to. It was, I actually moved at some point. I took my Xbox and moved into the other room because it's like, I gotta get it. It essentially plays out like a cookie clicker game where you like buy different properties that make money and you have to assign certain people to those properties to like balance some stats or some shit. And you make more profit, and then your profit can make you more profit. And then there's like this leaderboard of the top companies in Yokohama that you're supposed to get to number one. Oh my God,
that is Chase Albee crack cocaine right there for certain.
Catnip for me, dude. I couldn't help myself.
My God.
There's also these monthly like board meetings that you have to go to, which play out so incredibly. It's like there's all these people who are part of your investment like folks, and they come to these board meetings where you have to like the idea, I think, is that you're answering like, why are your sales numbers down? But it plays out much like a baby would imagine a board meeting going, where like people are just saying shit. Like somebody will come up and say, what do you think about these profits? Why aren't they higher? And then you'll choose somebody on your team to like attack them with words, and like just something that flashes on screen says, we're doing fine, or I object, or something like that. And then their health goes down. I don't know what that represents, but like,
is it the same style of combat like the rest of the game, like the turn-based?
No, totally different.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely a different thing. So it like you eventually will do enough damage to their argument that they'll all sit down and start clapping for you and say, yeah, you've answered all my questions, essentially.
That's fucking funny.
It's incredible. And like you build up power to do a spell as Ichiban, and your spell is only just apologizing. And so if you have like a level 1 spell, he'll say like, oh, we're sorry. And then if you do like a level 2 spell, he like puts his whole body down. He's like, we're very sorry. And then level 3 is like, he's like pleading, like, I deeply, deeply apologize. And that somehow makes the board feel better.
Makes it a better apology.
Yeah.
Damn.
It's incredible. I like this game quite a bit. It has a lot of charm to it.
Okay. All right. Maybe I'll give it a shot one day.
Yeah. I'd say it's worth it. Like it's a fun little thing. If you can, I think the first like probably 3 or 4 hours are probably a little slow, but then once you like kind of sink and soak into Yokohama, it feels a lot better.
Cool.
The next game is that I played. I tried Call of Duty Cold War.
Whoa, you tried it.
I tried it. The new Call of Duty. I bought this game. So like context, I used to play a pretty fair amount of like Modern Warfare back in the day, in like 2010 or whatever. Yeah. I liked that game a lot. And the story was fine. I think as a 20-year-old in 2010, it was a lot more palatable to me.
Yeah, I mean, for the time, it was kind of the first game that really did like a decent modern war story, which is why it was part of why it was so successful. But sorry, continue.
Yeah, no, it essentially just like I had a taste for this at the time, and I to be honest, I think I just wasn't really interrogating games in the same way that I do now, and so like I don't know, I didn't see very much of it. But anyway, regardless, I booted up Cold War, and it's a huge bummer to play this game. I did not. It's just sort of like sad. Like it's so hoorah and so like glorifying militaristic action. I'm just like, oh fuck, dude. Like it's so painful to get through it. The second level, you're like in Vietnam you're like having a flashback to try and remember some detail about some military operation.
You're just like napalming the villagers or something.
I mean, you are bombing the Viet Cong, like just absolutely wiping these dudes out. And I'm like, dude, this kind of sucks. This doesn't feel so good.
This is kind of shitty, guys.
Yeah. So like I stopped playing the game and I was just like, I don't know if I can do this. Like,
did you ever get to Ronald Reagan?
I did. It was so surreal and weird. I was like, why are we using Reagan? Like everybody's, I don't know. Again, like anybody who listens to this show is not going to be surprised at the politics of either of us. But I was just like, why? Like everybody stands up and like the whole scene is like, holy shit, dude, it's Reagan. Everybody knows Reagan, the president hero. It's just, again, such a bummer.
That's weird.
It's very weird. I felt kind of slimy walking out of it. And so like I said, in the past, I've sort of just passively purchased Call of Duty games. I don't think I can do that anymore. I don't think I can like support them anymore just because like it's just such a surface level and easy representation of the military that I disagree with so deeply.
You just got burned, Call of Duty.
I hope not, because like I'm sure there's plenty of totally cool people who work there who like don't have a lot of say in the direction of this game, but are still like, well, I guess I have to build a Vietnam level.
I mean, we're not disparaging the people individually.
I would hope not. And
the graphics look great. I'm sure it controls.
It looks incredible. The voice actors are all doing great work. The guns feel great to shoot. It's just a lot easier for me to shoot grunts in Halo, or even in the World War II games. It's like, well, Nazis, I guess, so it doesn't feel quite as bad, but yeah, it just didn't feel like a great experience. And there's so many better games that I could be supporting, so this is my public declaration that I need to be held accountable for not purchasing Call of Duty video games. I'm sure there is a person who this game is for. I think just the belief system behind it is sort of painful for me to experience in a way that makes me not able to enjoy the game at all.
It's fair.
The next game that I played,
yes,
not quite. It's Dark Souls 2.
Dark Souls 2.
I have not beaten Dark Souls 2. I played it a little bit on the computer way back when, but just kind of bounced around. I played 1, I played 3, Bloodborne, Sekiro, and now Demon Souls. And I was like, well, I might as well round out that lineup. So got up into Dark Souls 2. I sort of understand why it is the odd one out in this series.
It wasn't made by the regular guy, wasn't it?
It was not, yeah. I forget the name of the dude who like spearheads a lot of this, but it's Miyazaki.
I remember there was another famous Japanese creator with that name.
Yeah, so he was off doing Bloodborne after they had done Dark Souls 1. And so the game is still quite good. Like compared to a lot of other games, like the combat's still really fun. But I do understand sort of there's a lot of design decisions made in this one that I could understand if someone bounced from it. To me, the most notable part of it is sort of like the game feel as a whole. Like rolling doesn't feel quite as heavy or like safe as it does in the other ones. Like your invincibility frames, I feel like are really limited in this one. Whereas like if you're currently rolling in Demon Souls, it's like I kind of understand when and where I'm going to get hit in the roll, right? Like if I'm starting to stand up, it's like, oh, I timed that one poorly or something. But if I'm currently rolling in Demon Souls, it's like I pretty much no matter what happens, I can't be hit here. But Dark Souls 2 is a lot less forgiving in that sense. At least to me, I could totally understand somebody being like, well, it's the easiest one, but I find it kind of difficult.
Gotcha.
Not to mention just like the weight of the swords and shit isn't quite there. Like I feel like, you play Demon Souls now, like whenever you hit somebody, there is a tactile sensation of hitting them with your sword or getting hit. Yeah, like the sound is very loud, especially in the controller. It vibrates a lot whenever you hit someone. Whereas it doesn't really in this one. Like the sound is just sort of like pow, pow. And so it's not quite as significant.
Not as satisfying.
I think to me, it just doesn't trigger in my brain of like, shit, I just got hit or something just connected.
Sure.
The level design is also pretty straightforward as far as like compared to Bloodborne and Demon Souls, but having just played, compared to Bloodborne and Dark Souls, but having just played Demon Souls where it's just pretty much like run through the level and get to the end. That was not as much of a problem for me just because it's like, well, it's still fun game, so I don't really mind if the level design is perfect or not.
Sure.
Whereas in like Bloodborne or Dark Souls or something like that, like the level is so interconnected and so interesting, it's fun to just explore. So yeah, I don't have a ton of other huge thoughts about it. It's fun. It's more Demon Souls, which is what I needed. Probably close to the end, I think. So I'll probably beat that one.
Nice.
The next game that I'm playing, it's called Dicey Dungeons, Dave.
Dicey Dungeons? Oh my god. You can't get away from these damn games, can you?
It is a card-based roguelike, David.
There must always be one, huh?
It's currently got me not playing Slay the Spire, although I'm sure Slay the Spire will come back.
Dicey Dungeons, what a name.
It's pretty good. How to explain this? You essentially have a bunch of different classes in this one where that determines your like loadout kind of. So there's like a warrior dice and a thief dice and all these sort of characters that you can play that change a little bit how you approach the game. And then you will sort of wander through this map that has like levels to it, pretty, again, similar to Slay the Spire in the sense of like, here's level 1, and you have to sort of wander through it, and there's a handful of enemies that you fight, and upgrades and coins and shit that you can buy different items with. The main difference is that you have all your equipment like ready at any time, so it's as if you have all of your cards on hand in Slay the Spire, but the aspect of randomness that they introduce rather than your deck being shuffled and given to you in a certain order is that you're constantly rolling dice that you use to interact with your equipment. So say you have a card that will do 1 damage, but it only accepts dice rolled between 1 and 3. Or you have another one that'll do any damage, but on 6, it'll do a life steal or something like that.
Whoa.
And then at the start of every turn, you roll a handful of dice and you get like a 2 and a 5 or something. And then you can use those dice to trigger those like effects essentially. And so, like I said, rather than in other deck-based like roguelikes where the aspect of randomness is what cards you are drawing, it's mostly based on just like literal dice rolls. And so it's interesting. It's cool. I think the depth that it has is limited compared to something like Slay the Spire, but it offers so many classes that like it's interesting just on that face of it. You got thoughts? What are your thoughts?
I got thoughts about you more than anything else.
Lay it on me, baby. What are your feelings?
What is it? Why these games without fail? Always.
I don't have a good answer for you, David. I don't know what has twisted in my mind.
Like, has this always been a thing, or is it just
no something? So
what was the precipitating event?
Yeah, I don't honestly know. Like, I think okay, so Slay the Spire was the first of these kind of games that I played. I know that there were some before, and I think like most of my interaction with this genre as a whole was mostly like physical based, right? Like it reminds me of Magic, or it reminds me of any of those like deck building board games. Was it Hero Clicks? Is that one of them?
Ooh, I don't know. I know Dominion.
Dominion's a good example. Yeah, where like part of the game is drafting a deck. Like that's a essential part of it. And none of those had ever clicked. And I think just because it was kind of complicated to play. If you wanted to play Dominion, you really needed to have other people who know how to play Dominion for it to be a fun and easy time. Yeah. Because if you're just playing somebody who just learned and you're not, a novice to it, you're just going to wipe the floor with folks. And so it's not quite as satisfying. And it's also like kind of a pain to go and like grab all your cards and the board and shit like that. And especially it's the same thing for Magic, right? Like Magic is a hard game to get into unless you have some pre-builts, and then you probably should play with other people who have pre-builts rather than with somebody who's gonna like use some cards that haven't been printed for 30 years and just kick your ass in one turn.
That's not
or
fun.
Even Hearthstone, right? Like you and I played Hearthstone for a while, and so like that aspect of drafting was pretty fun. The card based sort of fighting was cool, but I think the replayability with these games is usually what gets me. Like I feel like I can play Slay the Spire just over and over and over again because I don't always play the same way, and there's a lot of viable ways to play it.
Gotcha.
And so the fact that I can kind of turn it on and play for a little bit, it's good stuff. So yeah, oh God, I don't know. I'll have to interrogate my own beliefs about why these games do it to me so much, but man. it's a conversation that we'll have to have.
Sure is. Okay.
So yeah, Dicey Dungeons, very good. If you have like I think it's like $10 or something. So it's worth a pickup if you haven't played it.
All right.
The final game that I'm playing
is
Nier Automata, David.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah?
Nier Automata. Holy shit, this game.
The Thinking Weebs video game.
The Thinking Weebs video game. Holy shit, man. I missed Nier entirely. Like, you had talked to me a little bit about it on the pod, and you had essentially just said you should play it.
I didn't want to hype it up too much for you.
Yeah, and I've heard from other people, like, it's a very good game. Everybody should play this game. And so I didn't really know what to expect going into this at all.
Excellent.
Not to mention, like, the game is pretty unassuming for the first couple hours.
Yeah.
And like, I guess, how do we say this? I would like to talk about this game at some point really in depth because like, holy shit. But just like, I guess kind of surface level spoilers, the game is structured around a bunch of different like endings that you can achieve. I think
when you told me that you ate that fish, sorry. When you told me you ate that fish and lost all that save progress, I was like, damn, painful. I could see how that would easily happen. I would have been so upset, but you got an ending though.
I got an ending, and it's pretty opaque about its mechanics sometimes. Like there are two different kinds of saving in this game, and they don't really distinguish a lot of the time like what the difference is. Like there is the like mechanical system level saving where it lists your playtime and your endings and shit like that. And there's a different saving where like you can come directly back into someone's body, and that happens at these little like waypoints or whatever. And those two things have like mechanical significance at certain points. So anyway, so the game, like you can play through the first ending, and the game is like weird and cool and it's doing shit, but is very like, I don't know, it just seemed kind of like a brawler, right?
Yeah.
Like I think you can get through most of it, or most of the first run essentially in 3 hours, maybe 4 hours. It's not very long.
Yeah, if you don't do like a lot of side quests or anything like that.
And I didn't. Yeah, I kind of just like mainlined the main thing. I was like, okay, cool. Again, it's got all sorts of weird shit. The imagery is just fucking crazy. The dialogue is nuts, and like it's all pointing at like something's happening. But you get to the ending, and then it's like, hey, you could try again if you want to. It's presented as like an optional thing, but you essentially start the game over, and you play as a different character through essentially, by and large, the same events,
but totally different gameplay-wise.
Very different like interactability with the mechanics of it. And there is a lot of new shit in there, but like on the surface, you're just like, well, I just did this. And it wasn't really until I got through that one that I was like, oh fuck, this game is something entirely different than what I thought it was.
The end of that first run gets bonkers.
Bananas, yeah. Holy shit. Anyway, so
you were just about to do that when you were texting me last night, right?
Yeah, I was pretty close to the end of that run. So I feel like I'm like 30 minutes from beating this game right now. I'm so close. And so, like, I'm sure my interpretation of this will change, if and when I beat this. But, like, Jesus, this game has a lot to say without really saying very much at all. It's bananas.
When that spire came out of the ground, I was like,
Jesus, dude.
what
is happening?
is going on here? It really gave a lot for that last bit of the game. And you still, I don't think you've even gotten like one of the big reveals yet.
I don't think so. I think they're building to a lot, like something that's about to happen. That's pretty fucking nuts.
Oh yeah. This game is bonkers in all the best types of ways.
It's bonkers, and like the stuff that it is saying, I find really, really shocking that they're able to accomplish that. I was like playing Nier and felt like what it felt like to play Kingdom Hearts for the first time, except that this game was earning it rather than just like conveying that to me in the tone, right? Like Kingdom Hearts wants you to think it's very deep and intense. And as an adult person reading the story, you're like, what is happening in this game?
Kingdom Hearts is kind of like the emo kid in high school,
Correct.
whereas Nier is like
me.
Nier is like, I don't know, the brooding like literature major in college or something.
Correct. Yeah. Jesus, dude. There's just so much going on, and like I think if we're going with the comparison still, like the subtext of Kingdom Hearts is still not like super well put together. Like what Kingdom Hearts is saying at its core isn't a ton, right? Like
and darkness and
fucking
light.
Inner darkness is actually light. Like, what does that mean? You guys are like, well, how does any of this relate to anything else? But like the shit that this game is saying about like fucking conflict and like cycles of violence and war, like God and shit. I'm like,
humanity.
What, like, how did they do this? It's exactly. Jesus. Like every time I'm playing this game, I'll have a moment of like, well, what about this thing? I wonder how they're trying to, and then like just immediately I have an answer because the game's already given it to me, right? Like they're setting up this big sort of elaborate, not metaphor, but like story that you're kind of supposed to take meaning from. Sort of whenever I ask, any internal question of like, okay, well, if they're setting up this thing, or if this is kind of supposed to represent that, like how does this other thing track? And just immediately it's like, oh, of course, like it's this is the thing they're saying over here. Again, I'm trying to speak in broad strokes because I don't want to spoil anything, but good fucking God.
Yeah.
I'm floored by this video game so far.
You still got a couple big surprises left, both
Yeah.
story-wise and mechanically. So I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Half an hour might be more than half an hour left.
An hour or two, sure. Again, it's leading up to a point where I'm like, this is probably like the apex of what's going to happen here.
It does some pretty wild shit at the end. It's really cool.
I'm really excited for it.
One question.
Yeah.
How shocked were you by the robot orgy and then gooey robot man who came out?
Dude. Yeah, I think that was the first part where I was like, oh, this is bananas. This is something else.
That was the first salvo.
Yeah, like that. So, I mean, the game presents itself, and this, no spoilers here, but like the first thing that happens in this game is like, these people who you're playing as relay themselves as androids, right? Like they're machine-based life forms. And they go down and they're fighting like little buckets of bolts and shit. And they're like, ugh, machines. And so immediately as a player, you're like, well, what the fuck? Like, it's the same shit. Like, what's the difference here? And so like when that sort of stuff starts happening, where the machines are like imitating humans and they come together and like birth this gooey ooey dude, and like I'm like, okay, there's some other shit happening here.
Yeah. Man, I should play that game again. That was a good game.
It's crazy, dude. I wasn't expecting it to be as good story-wise as it is. Because again, mechanically, it's good, right? Like it's a good beat 'em up, but like Bayonetta was a good beat 'em up, and like the story of Bayonetta was pretty straightforward and fine, right? But like this one's doing so much other shit and like wraps in the mechanics into the story. Just fuck, dude, it's crazy. I can't believe this. I can't believe this game, and I can't believe that it came out in 2017.
Came out a while ago.
Not only a while ago, but the year for video games. 2017 was like the video game year.
That's how it's
Odyssey,
snuck underneath
Breath of the Wild, Nier, fuck.
Big year. Big year, baby.
Yeah. So I figure I will probably beat this game in the next, I don't know, couple of days at least.
Oh man, I'm really excited to hear your thoughts on the ending.
Yeah, we should probably like talk about it at length in another episode. I know that like That's a thing that video game podcasters do, is talk about Nier Automata in a long episode. But I do want to talk about it. It's very wild. It's very cool.
Good. It's worth it.
So we'll probably do that. All of this, however, 50 minutes in, will bring me to my Podtimistic thing of the week, David.
Yeah, what is it?
It's vacation gaming, my dude.
Oh, baby.
I love playing video games on any sort of vacation, especially if there's a long amount of time. The first couple of days of any sort of like Christmas vacation, I've just got like hours I can sink in to a video game. Or even better yet, and obviously we can't partake in this anymore, which is tragic, but June 12th or whatever, the bell rings and you're running out of school on your skateboard doing a kickflip, and you say, "Smell you later, teach," and then you go home and you're like, I got 3 months of uninterrupted video game time. I can waste some fucking time playing video games.
I should just go back to school and get my teaching credential.
So you yourself, as a 30-year-old man, can skateboard out of school.
Kickflip away.
See you later, teach.
I'm looking at myself in the mirror, crying. Teach.
I am teach. What is teach? This cannot go on.
That's a very funny Nier joke for everybody wondering.
Nier joke for all you Nier heads out there.
But aren't you like excited for Nier Replicant now?
I am. I'm interested to see if they're able to do anything with the story.
Well, it's the prequel. It's the prequel.
It is, yeah. But there's just so much that goes on in this game that I'm like, how would they ever strike lightning twice with this?
Yeah, I don't know. I got no idea. But the Yoko Taro, the guy who made it, he just does whatever the hell he wants. Like he is an auteur.
Yeah, no, I forgot to mention this when talking about it, but this game has huge Metal Gear Solid energy and Zone of the Enders energy with like the way the story's presented, what the people are saying in the story. Literally just the UI looks like a Metal Gear game. The big mech combat reminds me a lot of Zone of the Enders, where you're like literally just shooting people in a circle.
Totally.
I like the bullet hell sections. Good God, dude. Yeah, sorry. Near tangent again.
Did you know that this series traces its story lineage back to Drakengard?
Yeah, dude. I looked this up. It's so ridiculous. In like ways that I think are almost unimportant. Like the story is like, it's relevant in a sense. Like I get that like there are story beats connected to it, but this game is just doing so much other shit that I'm like, yeah, I get that that's like part of the lore of the world, but it's also just like not. The thing the game has to say is almost like entirely unrelated to like
medieval dragon game.
Yeah, nothing. Like just nothing.
It's just wild. It's funny.
It's crazy. Like it would be as if Hideo walked into like a Castlevania game and he's like, okay, I got some shit to say about God in here. Like what? Crazy.
I'm gonna make some weird shit.
Nobody look at me. I'm about to do some weird game design. Don't watch me while I do it. I'll make a weird face.
But yeah, summertime, summer gaming. You get all your weird
dude. Hell yeah, vacation gaming feels incredible.
Tight.
Do you have a vacation game that just like stands out as like, oh yeah, that was a summer game, or that was a winter break game or something? KOTOR. Okay. In a summer. Big time summer game. Yeah. Rock Band was just the forever summer game. That would probably be my biggest ones that I remember just off the top of my head. I remember just being just totally entranced by KOTOR one summer. It's quite good. Going hard on KOTOR. Yeah. There was like one summer where I was playing Metal Gear Solid 2 an ungodly amount. Like I remember like that. Not speed running it, but I was doing it as fast as I could. You were telling me like, oh yeah, I beat Metal Gear Solid like twice yesterday. Yeah, quickly. If you skip the cutscenes, it's not a particularly long game. I was just like, what? You beat it how many times? It was wild. It was baffling to me that someone would play a video game that many times, but you loved it. I have this weird memory of it being like 3 a.m. and me calling into our local Sacramento radio station, KWOD. 106.5? Was that the radio station? No idea. And requesting the Alien Ant Farm cover of Smooth Criminal, and then being like, yeah, we'll play that. It's like 3 a.m. Somebody answered my call and was like, yes, we'll play it. And then I'm sitting there with like this radio clock on my chest, listening to Alien Ant Farm and like beating Metal Gear Solid 2 at the same time. This is such a weird slice of my experience. I don't know why it's so vivid, but Jesus. Smooth Criminal by Alien Ant Farm? Yeah. That's what you needed to listen to Metal Gear Solid. Like, I need this. Gotta do some sneaking and some stuff. Yeah. Gonna shoot the bad guys maybe a Ocelot or Big Man or Fat Man or whatever his name is. Don't want to play Raiden, but he rolls good and he flies good.
Michael Jackson's estate wants to know your location. Oh, man.
MJ has entered the chat.
MJ.
Do you have something fueling your sense of podtimism, David?
Yeah.
Tell me.
It is video game teams.
Teams?
Yeah, or clans, I guess you could say.
Clans, okay. What's the one you got in mind here?
The one I got in mind is Jahan wants Travis and I to play Rocket League with him.
Oh, hell yeah.
So we got a group text going right now, and I'm just like, okay, guys, what's our team name gonna be? And then Travis says that Will and Ian have a team called Brain Freeze Blitz.
Hell yeah.
And he said we could try out for them. And I'm just like, I am not anywhere on that level whatsoever. I have
not laid sticks on this video game.
I don't even know what playing at that level looks like for those guys.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure Willie and Ian are just
pro soccer
players. Deep into this game.
Sure.
That they have maybe become one with it at some point.
They're no longer a clan. They're just one person
no longer a clan.
Playing Rocket League.
Also, shout out to Shadow Claw Clan, my clan of 12-year-olds from Overwatch.
Whoa, hell yeah, dude. What is it? Shadow Clock?
Claw.
Shadow Claw.
Like the Pokemon
is a
move.
Powerful incantation. Holy shit. That might be a spell.
We never did anything.
Sure, yeah.
I couldn't. I was a man grown. There was children that I was playing with. I'm like, can't do this right now,
that's
guys.
Fair. There was a pretty good system in Halo 2, if I remember correctly, where you could suffix your Xbox gamer tag with a clan name, and they're
yeah,
I loved that. Their social game for Halo 2 was so on point. There was
ahead
a button
of its
on
time.
it really was. And still I'm like, Jesus, whenever I go into another game, I have to sort of launch into their whole okay, let me click the PlayStation button and see who's online and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But with Halo, I think because it was so early on in Xbox Live's career, they didn't have you launch into the Xbox Live UI. It's just no, we got your friends in game. Just press Y. We'll pull them up. See who's online. You could easily jump into other games. The clan stuff was really cool. I hope I'm remembering that correctly and that's not in Halo 3 or something, but I remember there being very good social stuff like that. And so I really enjoyed that kind of interactivity.
They really knew what they were doing back then. I don't know what's happening nowadays.
They really struck gold with that sort of formula that they were putting forth on 2 and 3. Okay, do you want to move on to our main thing? Is your arm getting tired?
We're in.
Yeah, hell yeah. This is the first one. We've been playing so many video games over break. I got lots of things to say.
All right, I'm ready.
Cool. David, it is finally back.
Finally back.
Finallyback.com. It is Good Games, the section where we talk about the games of yesteryear, gush all the things we love about them, and imagine what they might look like today. What is this face you're making?
It's my Good Games face.
Oh, okay, great. We got a good one. I like this game a lot.
I never played this one, but I heard good things about it.
Yeah. I've played a lot of it, so we can talk shop, baby.
Cool.
We're going to talk about, on Good Games today, we're going to talk about Way of the Samurai. This is a cool game. End of segment.
All right. See you guys. That was your video game wisdom for the week.
Okay, let's see. Let me hit you with those hot stats, David.
Hot stats.
So, Way of the Samurai came out in North America May of 2002 for the PlayStation 2.
Oh, man.
A little while ago.
19 years.
Oh, God, yeah. I was just doing 2020 math. Yeah, no, we're 2021 now, baby.
Yeah.
Got different subtractions
different math
to do.
now, man.
It was developed by this company called Acquire, which is a game company out of Tokyo. It's been around since about 1994, and they are mostly known for the Tenchu series, that stealth action ninja thing. I played a couple of those, they were pretty cool. Have you fucked with Tenchu? Did you fuck with Tenchu?
I never fucked with Tenchu.
It was a PlayStation 1 rated M for mature game, so unless your parents were lax with their
definitely not
games ratings,
they weren't up to date on the ESRB for sure.
Thank you. That was the word I was looking for. What organization rates games?
The Electronic Software Ratings Board.
So yeah, they made Tenchu. They also made The Way of the Samurai, which has a couple of entries in it. Then they also, most recent and notably, made the Octopath Traveler game that came out on the Switch.
Oh, okay.
I didn't realize
that's
those.
different type of game.
Yeah, definitely. I have a review from our friends over at Joe Video. Back once again, back in 2021, doing it big. Joe Video's Big Adventure. No, Bizarre Adventure. Joe Video's Bizarre Adventure.
There you go.
Jojo. Okay, sorry. I have a review from Joe Video. It was written in French, and I have mangled it through Google Translate about 20 times, or finally arriving in English. So we'll see what they had to say once we have destroyed this review.
Let's hear it.
Quote, "It is certainly a name, but the service is not enough to reach its full potential. Computers must oversee technical limitations, short home cycles, in order to enjoy the freedom to use the services suggested in this article.
What?
But experience pays off. Period. Joe. No period."
That's maybe the most confusing one I've seen so far.
We're starting 2021 off big. Joe just hangs out there. There's no real explanation. That is not the name of the person who reviewed this. I went back and checked, did they just title this review? No, Google Translate has somehow made Joe the punctuation to the end of that review.
Joe was the guy who just translated it for you?
Just furiously sweating behind Google Translate. Fuck, he did, oh God, he did Esperanto? I don't know that shit. Did traditional Chinese into Latin? Doesn't work like that, dude.
This translation brought to you by Joe Squad.
What up, Joe Taro?
It sounded like a tech review for a second there.
Very much, yeah. No, they're reviewing a piece of hardware.
Yeah.
Computers must overcome technical limitations, short home cycles, in order to enjoy the freedoms of the services suggested in this article. It's nothing. Doesn't mean anything.
Hey, baby, how long's your home cycle?
What up with that home cycle? I want to take advantage of the services suggested in your article.
How many hums per minute you got?
Okay, what is this game? This game is it's like a third-person sword-fighting action game. Mm-hmm. It takes place in 1878 Japan. This is a year after the Satsuma Rebellion, which I'm pretty sure is a part of the game. They mention it.
Oh my God, Mr. Thompson, World History flashback.
The Satsuma Rebellion, I actually do have some notes, which it's a whole thing. The wiki article on this was a big boy. Uh-huh. But in short, if I could very much simplify a lot of complicated history, was essentially it was a rebellion of disaffected samurai against the imperial government. And so essentially the imperial military had structured itself to the point where samurai were no longer needed in the actual structure of the military, which thereby made them a lot lower in the class at the time.
Gotcha.
And so there's a bunch of people, a bunch of samurai who are like, fuck this, I hate this, let's rebel and essentially take back our prestige,
We're taking it back.
And so this game takes place essentially a year afterwards. And so a lot of the conflict of the story is surrounding this tension between the new sort of imperial government way of doing things and this older style of living.
Okay.
You play as a Ronin named Kenji, who shows up to this fictional outpost named Rakatsu Pass. And in Rakatsu, there's 3 factions of folks who are vying for control. There's the local imperial government, there's the Kurao family, and the Akadama clan.
Okay. And
essentially, if I remember correctly, the Kurao is the older folks. They've been in power for a while, or it might be the Akadama, either way. But the archetypes are, there's a big government, there's an older family who's been established for a long time, and then there's a younger family who's the illegitimate son of one of the big family members who's has a bunch of fighters essentially in his clan.
Gotcha.
And they're all trying to essentially take over this little outpost because it's very much in conflict when you show up. Mm-hmm. The mechanical draw of the game is sword fighting's cool. Mm-hmm. In 2002, it was just okay, I got a sword, that's tight.
I'm into it. Yeah.
But the cooler thing, especially in hindsight, is that you can heavily sway the outcome of Rakatsu given the decisions over the course of a few days of your play, right? So you show up on a certain day and you're immediately presented with things you can do that will influence the ending of this game.
That's cool.
It is very cool, and like they're dramatic, right? Like you can go to one of the families and say like, hey, I'm pledging to you, fuck everybody else, and like just go down that storyline and see what happens from day one. Like, you know, I want to talk to your leader, what's up? And like you just roll in there and, you know,
I'm your man.
Pretty much, right? Like go see what's going on. And yeah, we'll talk about it in a little bit more in depth, but that was sort of the draw of the mechanics of it. What else? So you can essentially like talk to folks, or if something like breaks bad, you're able to, you know, launch into sword fighting because you are yourself a Ronin who's like wandering around. The game is pretty short. Like you can beat a certain ending in like a couple of hours probably. And a lot of the reviews at the time panned it because they're like, oh, this game is $60, but it's like you can beat it super quickly. But to me in hindsight, and at the time too, I feel like a lot better draw was like, how do I even get the other endings? Like, I think initially as a person who may have played other RPGs or anything like that where choice is presented to you, it's really tempting to just do like the good guy path and see how that goes. And so it's hard to make literally any other choice for me where it's like, do I let this person who's being kidnapped get kidnapped? Like, how is that going to affect me down the road or whatever?
Got to make those decisions.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of replayability there that I think wasn't in the consciousness of game reviewers at the time.
Was it in vogue? It was just, how long is the main storyline?
Yeah, and like linearity was definitely a thing, and if there was branching paths, it was supposed to be throughout the whole game rather than a shorter story that you can go back and replay through.
Keep going, yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of, David, a roguelike. A roguelike.
I knew where this was going.
Oh yeah, no, I've been drawing towards this point for some time now.
Been a dirty rogue boy this whole time.
Okay. So that's pretty much on paper what this game is. I'm assuming we want to sort of grill us up a grilled chase sandwich.
I'm turning on the burner right now, putting in some nice neutral oil into that pan.
Heating up your pan, getting it ready.
Yeah.
Make yourself a grilled chase sandwich. Which is the part of the segment where David asks me questions if he hasn't played the game, and I ask David questions if I haven't played the game. Cool. What you got for me? I've got my gushing points, but I assume we usually get to those whenever this section comes up.
So,
yes.
First one, biggest one. What is the way of the samurai? Like, what way do they go? Left, right, backwards, up, down?
Well, it depends on when the samurai is.
I like that answer. What's the way? It depends on when.
Depends on when and how. That's gonna differ between each samurai, man. I think in this game, Kenji, the way is through. The way is definitely through.
Through, okay.
You show up at this pass and you pretty much have to do shit. You have to interact with these people in one way or another. And that definitely gets you into a lot of shit sometimes.
No other option but through, but forward.
I think you can just dip, if I remember correctly.
You can just leave the whole game?
I think so. I'm pretty sure there's an ending where it's just like, and everything pretty much happened like it was going to happen before you showed up, which is kind of neat. So yeah, I'd say through. What is the way of the samurai? What direction? I'm going to say northwest. If I'm going to put a cardinal direction on it. That just feels good to me.
Is it because you are in the Pacific Northwest, Chase?
Maybe that's just where this samurai
Are you
up.
northwestist?
I am, in the continental United States, I am pretty much northwestist. Not quite. There's still some more northwest here, but mostly northwestful.
And it's pretty much you.
Yeah. I love describing where I am. What's the next question? God.
Did the sword combat do anything different for the time? Or was it just more like a basic hack and slash?
It was difficult. Like I watched a couple of videos of it, and it definitely reminded me that like it's hard to win a sword fight in this game. If you're fighting dudes who are like not that tough, it's not so bad. But in one of the endings, you're fighting like the Imperial fucking swordsman at the end, and he is a real bastard. Like the dude's health does not go down very quickly, and he does a lot of damage to you whenever he hits you. And because there isn't a lot of carryover from one run to the next, it's you pretty much just got to do it. Like you got to get good and beat these people.
All right.
And so there is like an interesting mechanic with like parrying and sort of like stamina meters essentially. But which again for 2002 I think it is pretty cool given that like that's kind of in vogue again. Well, with like Sekiro and all that sort of stuff, and like even Valhalla. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff there that is fresh again, new again. But I think that it did feel interesting to me. I do remember the mechanics being a little bit opaque even then, though. Like I wasn't really sure what was going to land or what wouldn't, because sometimes you would just cut through defenses and it's like, okay, well, I got through his thing. But other times you really didn't and you just got killed. Yeah, I think it was cool enough at the time. I think like, especially in 2002, I feel like people were still hunting for what was a good sword fighting game. That's always kind of been the dream, right? Like a good sword fighting video game is like, if done well, is usually like, damn, that's fucking
Pretty
good
damn
video
good,
games.
yeah.
That's good video games.
Peak video games.
Peak video games. And so, you know, with something like Sekiro or something like that, it feels incredible to be able to wield it so quickly and gracefully. But if you do it wrong, it feels very bad. Like,
Yeah.
sword fighting can feel very, very bad if it's too slow or like your actions are not what you expect them to be. And so it's not necessarily an easy thing to do, especially because as a human, I sort of know what it feels like to take an empty wrapping paper tube and swing it around my body.
We all been using sticks to fight.
We've been using sticks to fight, and so you know what it feels to kind of swing a stick. And so when the game doesn't accurately represent that, it does feel a little wonky. So yeah, I think some interesting stuff as far as the mechanics go, but nothing like super groundbreaking from the combat side of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see. One more question. Were there monsters or was it just people?
Yeah, definitely based in reality. Like,
Okay.
the style of the game is like not historical fiction because this is like not a real place, but I think it was trying to tackle real life events, kind
Gotcha.
of, right? Like,
Okay.
it would be as if, you know, there was a video game set during the Civil War and there was like a southern city, like Red Dead, right? Like,
Okay. Yeah.
where there's cities in Red Dead and there's not really like, you know, super crazy shit going on. It was pretty straightforward. That, I mean, like that said, like it's a video game, right? Like you kick a radish and it flies up in the air and then you eat it and that's how you recover health. So
That's
not
rad. I love that.
It's kind of cool. It's definitely a kick. Like you come at it from the side and just like flies up in the air and gets eaten.
Gotcha.
So that's neat.
Are there RPG elements in it?
A little bit. There's upgradable like swords and shit. That you can, like, if you kill somebody cool, you can go pick up their sword. And some of those have like stats that'll make you better, but by and large, not really. Like your character doesn't have stats that you can improve, which again, to me is sort of interesting, especially for the time, given that it's more trying to center you on the mechanics of the video game rather than like getting progress as a character to thereby experience more of the story. It's more about like, we want you to play the game and make different decisions and get through it and see what happens, rather than like character progression as a mechanic, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. I think the sort of why I wanted to bring this too was just because like Nier is hot on my mind right now. And being that there are multiple different endings in this game, it felt pretty relevant.
Multiple different stage plays too.
Yeah, exactly. Goddamn, dude. Nier's so fucking good. The child cried, "Mother," from deep underground. Mother. So incredible.
Fucked up.
Incredible.
Oh my god.
Anyway, so the story of the game I do find actually pretty effective insofar as like you're able to influence the story a lot, but the players and the pieces of this story are already set in motion when you get there. Like things are already happening. And so you're able to sort of like divert and change how things end up. But I sort of like the idea that you're not the only person who's playing in this game right now. Like there's a lot of independent variables going on. And to that end, there's one of the endings in Way of the Samurai where you're able to pull the other clans together and essentially say like, hey, we need to come together to kick the imperial government out, because if you don't, all of you are going to be gone. Like essentially they're going to take over all of you and it's not going to matter, which is, I think, true. Like in most of the endings, it does kind of mention that like that's part of how the story rolls.
Damn.
And so, you know, you might be able to consider that the true ending or something, or at least the ending that would play out in a movie, I guess. And that ending's really fucking hard to get. Like, it's not easy to achieve that one. You have to, like, start in one family and, like, defect a little bit and know that, like, one character is going to be at a certain place at another time because you've played through it enough times to know, like, the movement of the characters in real time.
Jeez.
And so it's hard, right? Like, it's hard to do this. And the sense that you get, especially after fighting this dude at the end, because he's, like I said, a real bastard, is that this was not an easy thing to accomplish. That there are forces larger than you that are bearing down on you that are incredibly difficult to overcome, even if you know how this is going to play out, right? And what inevitably happens is you get that ending maybe, or something else, and you start the game back over and start playing through it again, and they are in the same favorable position that they were before, and things are not looking good for you already, right? And so just by playing the game, it's sort of, to me, saying something about how structural power is sort of difficult to overcome, and that, like, you know, you can fight and fight and fight over and over and over again, and even through your best intentions and what you might think is right, like, sometimes it just doesn't fucking work out.
Doesn't work out for you, yeah.
Yeah, and like it can be incredibly difficult to achieve victory, and sometimes it's kind of just luck. Like that there's definitely a sense in this game that, like, if you got that ending, you probably didn't know that was necessarily what was going to happen. You were just exploring sort of the narrative and trying to see what was going to happen. So I think that part of it was super ahead of its time, and especially when I'm thinking about Nier, like, this game was it could have been so close to being just absolutely groundbreaking if they just carried over a couple elements from run to run, right? Like, say you're able to play as a different character, or you went back through and just like one thing was different.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck? Like, I don't remember that being different last time.
On?
Yeah,
they
just
don't
like
tell
some
you.
Yeah. And sort of hammered home that point over and over again of, like, maybe these aren't the same run. Maybe, like, mechanically I'm not doing the same thing over and over again, that these are distinct times that I am going through. And it's still really hard to, like, beat these people and to get, like, a good ending or something. Like, it's just inches away from being able to do, like, something incredible. And so I did want to, like, praise it for doing something very close to that and very cool in 2002, right? Multiple endings weren't necessarily a novel concept at that point, like that had been done before, but I think having a game be very short and having you be able to explore different endings very rapidly was fairly new and cool.
Yeah, that was not a common concept back then at all.
No. So yeah, fuck yeah. I love this game.
All right, Way of the Samurai.
Way of the fucking Samurai.
Remaster, let's do it.
Let's do it. Again, let's, what was dude's name?
Yoko Taro?
Yoko Taro. Give Yoko Taro the remaster. See what he does. Just see what happens.
I'll be down.
Maybe he does a straight remaster. Maybe he does some other shit.
He don't do anything normal.
I know. That's why I want him to do it. Oh my god.
That guy's wild.
Anyway, do you have any other questions that I could answer about Way of the Samurai?
No, my sandwich is done.
Great. How does it taste?
Delicious.
Tastes like roguelikes and deck builders.
Bastard. I didn't order this.
Send it back. The chef's got it all wrong.
Give me a Souls-like.
I wanted difficulty and linearity, damn it. Want to play this game once.
Snore.
Just like Mama used to make it. Come on.
One and done, that's it. No replayability.
The outro. We do this. We do the outro. We are on Twitter, per usual. If you want to come interact with us, that's the best way to do it. If you want to say some stuff to us, that's where you can. We are currently in the process of switching podcast hosting services, so our URLs might change a little bit, but I will ensure that everybody has the most up-to-date URLs. We're still going to be on Twitter. That's still a thing.
Are you saying URL or YARLs?
Our YARLs may change soon. We may no longer have Lydia as our Jarl of Pod Run. Let's see. So yeah, we're there. If you want to support the show, a great way to do that is to review us on Apple Podcasts, whether that's written or not. It helps us out, helps get the word out. And if you know somebody that you're like, hey, I bet they like optimistic gaming. I know an optimistic gamer. Burger King foot lettuce.
Did you even mean to do it that time?
I think I just say gamer like that. Whenever I conjure the phrase gamer, it just comes out in that way.
It's the same every time. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah, I don't totally know why.
Gamer.
Then you can share it with them, because I bet they'd love to hear it. Maybe our show sucks and nobody knows
but
yet.
Only if they're a gamer.
But only if they're a gamer. Then they can come leave us great feedback on our podcast. Yeah, I think that's it. Thanks for listening. If you're at this part of the show, thanks. Fuck yeah.
The video game wisdom is thank you.
Your video game wisdom is thank you. And this thank you is thank you.
Yeah.
So thanks. Okay, David.
Yes.
Do you have any 2021 video game wisdom? Or just video game wisdom? I don't care which one. Just something to get us through.
My New Year's resolution. My New Year's
Okay.
gaming resolution.
Okay. Let's publicly declare our gaming resolutions for 2021.
I'm going to play 2 Souls games.
2? Okay.
Beat them.
I'm gonna call Demon Souls as counting.
Yeah, I would say so. I played it this
Okay.
year. I'll probably play Bloodborne.
Wow, that's a commitment. That's a big
I'm gonna
commitment.
beat them.
I'm almost done with Nier. I don't think I want to call that as a resolution because there isn't. I don't need to be very resolute to finish that game. It's almost done.
It's gonna happen.
This year, I will play to completion Death Stranding.
Whoa. Okay. That's a good one.
I didn't play very much of that video game at all, and I really feel like I need to give it a fair shake.
Hey man, maybe it'll pull a Nier and just halfway through become real great.
I kind of suspect that that's the case. From everybody who's played a lot of Death Stranding, they're like, yo, this game fucking rips. And I think it may rip as well.
All right, let's see.
So yeah, I'm gonna play Death Stranding. My other resolution is to play more deck building roguelikes.
My God, you're not gonna have any time to work, man.
I quit my job and I will only play deck building roguelikes.
Shit.
Hey, significant other, I've got great news. On my video game podcast that I started during quarantine, I decided to quit my job. Doesn't that sound like a good idea?
What are you gonna do? Oh, I'm not gonna be a professional podcaster. I'm gonna be just playing deck building roguelike games all the time.
No, very much still an amateur podcaster.
Yeah.
I am a professional roguelike deck building gamer.
I stream on Twitch.
My good friend David watches me on Twitch.
6 a.m. to 10 at night. Just a regular switch time to stream.
Stritch time, baby.
Yes, stretch time.
On the second day, the old one was given a thing with which to thang. It's been rolling around my head for the past hour and a half. I can't get it out.
The old one. He's got a big thing.
How hard do you think the old one could thang?
I mean, it would probably destroy the earth.
I'm assuming it would probably create, some sort of hellscape. Like
remember when
is
Deathwing
found-
came out in Azeroth?
He was definitely thangin'. That thing was thangin'.
That's kind of what I'm thinking the level would be.
That's kind of what I'm thinking the level would be.
My thing is thinking about that thing.
This is nothing. Nothing is happening.
No, baby, this is Thangception. This is high art.
This is high art. Yoko Taro is going to listen to the end of this podcast and make a video game about it.
Called Thangs.
Thang Automata. No, Nier Thangomata. Thang Autonera. That's nothing. We have to end it before this gets any worse.
That's fair. I think we should pull the plug on this one. We've done enough damage already to the world.
Goodbye, podcast.
All right, see ya.
Bye.